When we hear the name Argentina, the only thing that comes to mind is Lionel Messi. But there's another thing that Argentina unfortunately stands out for, and that's having some of the highest inflation rates in the world. It's a real economic challenge, and the country's financial situation is so shaky that it's on the brink of collapse. In today's video, we're going to have a thoughtful discussion about why Argentina's economy is in such a mess. History. First of all, let's open the historical accounts of Argentina's economic condition. In the early 20th century, Argentina truly had its golden era, often dubbed the Belle Époque. At that time, the country's economy was thriving, thanks to its heavy reliance on agriculture and livestock. The rich, fertile lands were like a treasure trove, enabling Argentina to export vast quantities of beef, wheat, and wool. This period of prosperity attracted significant European immigration, which in turn skyrocketed the nation's growth and development. One of the standout features of this golden era was Argentina's strong currency, the peso, which held its value well. The stability in the currency, along with the thriving agricultural sector, drew foreign investments into the country, further fueling its economic success. Then, as we moved into the mid to late 20th century, Argentina's economic journey took some challenging turns. Following World War II, the nation continued its economic growth, driven by a shift toward industrialization and urbanization. The government played a more significant role in the economy during this time, which included the nationalization of key industries like railways and energy. However, Argentina started to face several economic hurdles in the latter half of the 20th century. The 1970s and 1980s were marked by political instability, high inflation, and periods of military rule. This era saw the country's external debt rising to unexpected levels. Then, hyperinflation became a significant issue in the 1980s, and it still is an issue. Argentina grappled with skyrocketing inflation rates, political challenges, and military governance. The government's economic mismanagement caused a severe loss of confidence in the national currency. The country found itself burdened by an enormous external debt, leading to a default in the 1980s and then another major default in the early 2000s. Adding to the economic instability, Argentina experienced multiple currency devaluations during this period. These devaluations eroded the value of the peso and further destabilized the economy. High inflation, government subsidies, and unpredictable economic policies all played their part in contributing to this period of economic turmoil. Judging from the history, it's pretty clear that Argentina has gone from the golden ages to the dark ages. And of course, the fall always hits harder than the rise. The people are, of course, in a terrible state right now, and they're in the streets protesting for countless hardships. Macroeconomic factors. Now that we're done with the history, let's have a little discussion on the macroeconomic factors leading to the poor economic state of Argentina. The first one, yep, you guessed it right, it's inflation. Inflation. When it comes to inflation, Argentina, as we discussed earlier, has quite a turbulent history. High inflation has been a constant companion, with periods of hyperinflation hitting hard during the 1980s and early 1990s. These hyperinflation episodes had a devastating impact on the Argentine peso, eroding its value significantly. In an attempt to combat hyperinflation, the government in the early 2000s pegged the Argentine peso to the US dollar at 1-to-1 ratio. While this temporarily stabilized prices, it also introduced economic distortions, setting the stage for future challenges. Over the last few decades, Argentina has consistently faced double-digit or even triple-digit annual inflation rates, leading to a steady erosion of purchasing power for its citizens. Currently, Argentina's inflation rate stands at over 120%, and experts predict it could reach 200% by year-end. Causes of inflation. So why does Argentina struggle with such high inflation rates? Let's break it down. Monetary policy. One significant factor contributing to Argentina's high inflation is the excessive printing of money by the central bank, often done to finance government deficits. Fiscal deficits. Persistent budget deficits at the government level have forced Argentina to rely on borrowing and creating money to cover its expenses. This reliance on deficit financing adds to the inflationary pressures. Indexation. Another contributing factor is the practice of indexing prices and wages to inflation. This creates a self-reinforcing cycle where businesses and workers demand higher wages and prices to keep pace with inflation. External factors. Changes in global commodity prices, especially in food and energy, can impact Argentina's inflation rate. The country's heavy reliance on imports and exports in these sectors makes it vulnerable to price fluctuations in international markets. Exchange rates. Moving on, Argentina also has its share of peso fluctuations and devaluations, often triggered by exchange rate policies that weren't aligned with economic fundamentals. When these events occur, Argentinians, worried about safeguarding their finances, rush to exchange their pesos for USD. At one point, the government even imposed restrictions, limiting Argentinians to purchasing only $200 per month. This restriction led to the emergence of black market for foreign currency. Over the years, Argentina has faced multiple currency devaluations, usually driven by a mix of factors like fiscal imbalances, inflation, and external pressures. As of September 29, 2023, 1 Argentine peso, ARS, equals 0.0029 US dollars, USD, which means $1 is equivalent to 350.0175 Argentine pesos. Taxation policies. Worsening the situation, Argentina's tax system has been marked by a complex web of taxes and high tax rates, which can discourage formal economic activities and incentivize tax evasion. Frequent changes in tax policies and exemptions have created uncertainty for businesses and investors. Inefficient tax collection methods and a substantial informal economy have limited the government's ability to generate revenue and reduce fiscal deficits. These factors in Argentina's exchange rates and fiscal policies contribute to the nation's economic challenges and ongoing struggles with inflation and fiscal stability. Political instability and corruption. A country going through a downfall and politics is not involved? Impossible. Same is the case with Argentina. One of the major causes that led to the economic downfall was mismanagement by the political leaders. Of course, corruption is also included. Let's have a discussion on both these topics separately. Frequent changes in government. Now Argentina is backed up by political instability, characterized by a revolving door of government leadership, including presidents and political parties. This instability often arises from political and economic crisis, along with public dissatisfaction with the government's handling of various issues. Of course, the public is involved, but we can't really blame them too. They're just too innocent. They try to do better for the government, but oftentimes end up doing worse. Political polarization. Adding to the political instability, Argentina faces a significant problem with political polarization. This means there are deep divides in the country when it comes to people's beliefs, not just about politics, but also about how the economy should work and even where they come from regionally. This kind of polarization can really get in the way of getting things done in government. Instead of focusing on practical solutions to economic problems, political parties often end up fighting over their ideologies. This can lead to a situation where it's really hard to pass important economic laws because everyone is too busy arguing. In the end, this complex web and lack of agreement on what needs to be done make it tough to make the necessary changes to improve the economy. Corruption. Now corruption, the thing we hate but love to discuss with real emotions. Obviously, corruption has had a big impact on Argentina's economy. It's like a drain that takes the resources away from things that could help the country grow, like investments and public services. You see, corruption messes up how decisions are made in the economy. Some businesses might turn to corrupt practices to get special treatment or contracts instead of relying on fair competition. And it's not just a problem with Argentina. Corruption also makes it hard to build trust in the country's government, at home and with international partners. When people don't trust the government, it becomes tough to attract foreign investments and get good deals on loans. Talk of those scandals, Argentina has had its fair share of big corruption cases involving politicians, government officials, and important business figures. For instance, in 2018, there was the Notebook scandal, which exposed a widespread bribery scheme involving top officials from the previous government. These scandals often lead to legal actions, with some prominent individuals even ending up in jail. They also damage the reputation of political parties and institutions. But here's the tricky part. Efforts to fight corruption can sometimes stir up more political divisions, making an already polarized situation even worse. So it's a complex issue that needs careful handling. And that's a wrap for our deep dive into Argentina's economic challenges. We've explored the historical ups and downs, the impact of inflation, exchange rates, taxation, political instability, and corruption on the nation's economy. If you found this discussion insightful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more engaging content. And as always, share your thoughts and comments below. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll catch you in the next video.